said, "Amy would want you to. She loved to dance." It was true. Amy started dancing to country music when she was a toddler, and she would have loved this party. So finally, Susan said, "Okay," and got up out of their booth. People noticed within seconds. 3 young women standing nearby, Amy's old childhood friends, smiled encouragement, and everybody made way for her. Susan honestly couldn't remember the last time she'd been out on a dance floor, and her bones felt stiff. But she told herself nobody would be judging her tonight. Terry put her arms around Susan as the band turned it up a notch. Susan's feet began searching for the rhythm. She looked around the bar and saw the crowd facing toward her, clapping. Everyone she knew in the world was here, and it felt like they were all dancing with her. She closed her eyes for a moment and swayed, listening to the twanging of the guitar. I should be grateful for this party, she thought. After all, the whole thing was for her benefit. She looked up at the wall behind the bar. There was a huge photo of Amy from 20 years ago when she was 7. It was blown up from a faded Polaroid, so it was a little fuzzy. But Amy's wide, gap-toothed smile and joyful spirit came through loud and clear. Her light brown hair fell to her shoulders, and she wore a multicolored beaded necklace. If you got close, you could see the individual beads, the purple dolphin, the pink duck. It was Susan's favorite picture of her daughter. She'd taken it the week Amy was killed. Terry whispered in her ear, "Here comes Evan." Susan saw Evan Mullins dancing closer to her. Evan was 57, 2 years older than she was, and freshly divorced. He'd moved back to town last year to run the Adirondack Folk School, and seemed to like her. He came by the diner at least once a week and flirted with her, and Terry always said if Susan encouraged him just a little bit, he'd ask her out. He wasn't bad-looking either. But Susan was as out of practice with that as she was with dancing. So now she looked at Evan's big smile and red checkered shirt and gave him the briefest of smiles in return, then looked away. She found herself facing her mother, sitting in a nearby booth drinking beer and bobbing her head to the music. Lenora waved at her, then leaned past her oxygen tank and shouted over the music, "Nice party, huh?" Right. Nice party. Despite herself, Susan felt a sodden mass of buried rage rise back to life in her chest. What happened to Amy was her mother's fault. No, don't go there. The song ended with a bang of drums and smash of guitars, and everybody cheered. Johnny, the long-haired, craggy-faced lead singer, acknowledged the applause by taking off his purple cowboy hat and giving a sweeping bow. He wasn't the world's greatest singer, but made up for it with what Lenora called vim. He called out, "How's everybody doing this evening?" The crowd whooped and hollered, and Johnny gave a big grin. But then he put up his hands. "Now, as y'all know," he said, "these festivities ain't just about fun." The crowd wasn't quite ready to get serious, so they gave Johnny some good-natured boos. "Shut up and sing," one drunk guy on the dance floor shouted. Johnny persisted. "We got a higher purpose tonight." Now everybody turned quiet. The drunk guy started to shout his displeasure, but somebody elbowed him in the side and he stopped in mid-yell. "In honor of which," Johnny continued, taking the microphone off the stand, "I would like to call Susan Lentigo, Amy's mom, to the stage." Susan hated speaking in public, but she'd had enough experience since her daughter's murder that she'd gotten okay at it. So now she smoothed her dark brown hair, adjusted her glasses, and took a deep breath to steady herself as she walked up to the small raised bandstand. She wasn't into clothes, as she had been years ago.